Welcome to our video about the fascinating world of Pokemon and their placement on the Tree of Life. Today, we take a closer look at Persian and its relationship with Ninetales. Ready? Let's go! Cats, Felidae, are a family from the order of Carnivora within the superfamily of Feliforms, Felidae. They are distributed on all continents except in polar regions and Australasia and Oceania, with the domesticated house cat having been introduced to these regions by humans. They are classified into big cats like lions, tigers, and leopards, and small cats like wildcats, lynxes, and ocelots. Among the small cats are also large representatives like pumas and cheetahs. Fossil cats are particularly known for the saber-toothed cats that belong to them, with the oldest cat fossils being around 30 million years old. With the domestication of the house cat, which descended from the African wildcat, a representative of the family has become a globally kept pet. Cats are almost exclusively carnivores and active hunters. In appearance and behavior, most of today's living cat species are very similar. In their appearance, most of today's living cat species are quite similar and show largely the same body structure, despite sometimes large differences in their size. They generally have a slender body, soft fur, short faces, and relatively small skulls. The cheetah, Acinonyx jubatus, with its rather dog-like body, or the lynxes, lynx, with a more stocky build, deviate the most from the basic type. Body measurements and weight range from about 1 to 3 kilograms for species like the black-footed cat, Felis nigripes, and the rusty-spotted cat, Prionelurus rubiginosus, to over 300 kilograms and more than 2 meters long for the male Siberian tiger, Panthera tigris altaica. Sexual dimorphism is only slightly pronounced in most species, with males generally being about 5 to 10% larger than females. An exception is the lion, Panthera leo, where males differ not only in size, but also by a pronounced mane from females. In species with large distribution areas over several latitudes, size can also be regionally different, following Bergmann's rule, according to which the average body size increases towards the poles. This can be observed, for example, in the puma concolor, whose distribution ranges from southern South America across the equatorial regions in northern South America to northern Canada, and where differences in body size can amount to up to 25% in terms of skull length among animals from different regions. The colorations, and especially the coat patterns in cats, are very variable, both between and within species. The spectrum ranges from largely uniform-colored animals like the mostly reddish-brown puma or the yellow-brown lion to strikingly spotted and striped species, which represent the majority of cats. The simplest form of coat patterning is a more or less pronounced dark spotting on a light background, as seen in the cheetah. In the leopard and jaguar, the spots have formed ring-shaped rosettes from individual spots around a light center, with an additional dark spot in the center for the jaguar. In other species like the ocelot or clouded leopard, the spots have been modified into elongated oval stripes, with individual spots merging into longer chains. In the tiger and several tabby small cats, and domestic cats, the coat pattern consists entirely of vertical stripes. The different coat patterns primarily serve as camouflage and are generally directly linked to the habitats of the animals. Thus, the more uniform-colored species typically occur in open habitats, while richly patterned animals mostly live in denser vegetative areas. Several species also have melanistic, black, and, more rarely, leucistic, white, forms. Particularly well known are the melanistic forms of the leopard and jaguar, known as black panthers. Leucism is found, for example, in white tigers. All cats have a tail that helps them maintain balance and is also needed for interspecific communication. In some species like the leopard, Panthera pardus, and cheetah, the tail is relatively long and serves to balance the relatively heavy body when climbing or running. In lynxes and the caracal, the tail is significantly shortened for reasons still unknown. The eyes of cats are relatively large in proportion to their skulls. The pupils of cat eyes are highly variable in their opening size. In bright ambient light, the pupils of small cats are vertically slit-shaped. In other cat species they are small and round, and in darkness, the pupils are extremely wide open. Some cats have multifocal lenses that allow for higher visual acuity. House cats have such lenses, and the corresponding slit-shaped pupils. Other cats, such as Siberian tigers, have ordinary monofocal lenses. Cats possess the reflective layer tapetum lucidum behind the retina in the eye, which reflects light that has penetrated the retina back so that it hits the retina a second time. This layer improves twilight vision and also causes a reflection of incident light in the eyes in darkness. Compare with the colloquial term cat's eye for reflectors. The rod-cone ratio of retinal receptors is about 63:1. In humans, the ratio is 20:1, but varies significantly between the center of the retina, 10:1, and the periphery, 200:1. Thus, cats can see very well even in low ambient light, twilight, night, but colors are only perceived to a limited extent by cats. Since cats can hardly move their eyes to the left or right, they have to move their heads to see in a different direction. The forward-facing eyes result in a strong overlap of the visual axes, which means better spatial vision. The field of view of a cat is 200 degrees to 220 degrees. The ears of cats are erect, pointed to round, and can be turned in different directions. Compared to dogs, the ears are small, although some species, such as the serval or sand cat, have relatively large ear flaps. They have excellent hearing. The frequency range extends from about 200 Hz to about 65,000 Hz, which exceeds that of humans by more than 3 times. A cat's ears can rotate independently over a large angle range, allowing them to acoustically locate prey and capture it with a targeted leap even in the dark. The ear flaps are covered with ear hairs to prevent the intrusion of foreign objects. The inner ear is also well developed in a comparatively large tympanic bulla. Taste recognition is necessary to identify spoiled or inedible food and must be precise and quick in cats, because they do not chew their food. The tongue is rough because it is covered with papillae. The central papillae are covered with spines pointing towards the body. These spines are used for grooming the fur or scraping meat from bones. The front papillae are for the actual taste perception, especially sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Cats cannot taste sweet, as they lack parts of the gene that carries the information for 1/2 of the recognition protein for sweet. The result is a non-functional receptor in the taste buds of the cat's tongue. The sense of smell in cats is less developed than in dogs or bears and mainly plays a role in interspecific communication. The nose and muzzle of cats are shorter than those of other carnivores, and the olfactory epithelium in the inner nose is less pronounced. The whiskers, zoologically called vibrissae, characterize most cats as primarily nocturnal animals. They are located particularly on the muzzle and in the cheek area, but also above the eyes and on the lower forelegs. Chin vibrissae, as seen in other carnivores, are absent. The vibrissae are set into vibration by air movements, which are converted by sensory cells at the whisker roots into a spatial image of the surroundings. Cats see rough spatial structures of their immediate environment even in complete darkness. The vibrissae are already fully developed in newborns, highlighting the importance of the sense of touch. The spine of cats is very mobile and flexible. The intervertebral discs between the individual vertebrae are soft and elastic, allowing the animals to bend and twist their backs. This twisting allows them to rotate their bodies when falling, so they generally land on their feet. See cat's riding reflex, and during running, it enables them to stretch their bodies very far, allowing cheetahs in particular to run very fast. Cats are primarily ground-dwelling animals, but they can also climb high vegetation and are partly arboreal. The legs are adapted mainly for running and jumping on the ground, as well as for climbing. The front legs are also used for grasping and holding prey. To enable the latter, the front legs must be flexible and allow rotation of the individual elements relative to the body. Unlike dogs, which have relatively rigid and immobile legs, cats can twist their shoulder joints, elbows, and front feet to grasp prey. To optimize shoulder rotation during running and climbing, cats have a reduced or completely absent clavicle, collarbone. The hind legs are strong and less flexible than the front legs, but in some species, they are also used for grasping and climbing. The length of the hind legs in relation to the body, and especially to the front legs, is variable and depends on the specific lifestyle. Cats are digitigrade and crosswalkers, with 5 toes on the front paws and 4 on the hind paws. The first toe on the front paws has one less joint and is often more robust than the other toes. It can be used, especially by larger cats, to hook onto prey. The laterally flattened and curved claws of the front paws are stronger than those of the hind paws. With the exception of the cheetah, flat-headed cat, and fishing cat, which can only partially retract their claws, all cats have retractable sickle-shaped claws made of horn. They are extended by contracting certain muscles only when needed, fighting, catching prey, climbing. To keep them sharp, they remain in their sheaths when not in use. Involuntary claw extension is prevented by tendons inside the toes. Many cats can climb trees very well with their claws, but to descend, the cat must have learned to use its forward curved claws as climbing hooks. Inexperienced cats try to climb headfirst downwards, which can quickly get them into trouble, causing them to panic and freeze. The paw pads of cats, again with the exception of the cheetah, are soft and cushioned, allowing them to sneak up on their prey. The lynxes, which primarily live in the cold northern forests, are characterized by large and heavily furred feet, which also allow them to walk and run in the snow. The sense of touch in the paws is very well developed, which is why cats also examine objects with their paws. The skull of cats is compact compared to dogs, with a significantly shortened snout region of the upper jaw and a relatively short lower jaw. This compact structure mainly results from the reduction of teeth, allowing a more compact and stronger jaw musculature compared to other carnivores. Smaller cats have a more or less rounded skull, with a very short snout and a largely forward-facing facial skull. In big cats, the snout is more pronounced, with the facial axis more horizontally oriented. Compared to dogs and hyenas, they have a less pronounced sagittal crest and wider zygomatic arches. The upper and lower jaws are connected by a hinge joint. The dentition of modern cats, in its original form, includes 3 incisors, incisivae, 1 canine, caninus, 3 premolars, premolares, and 1 molar, molars, per half of the upper jaw, and 3 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars, and 1 molar per half of the lower jaw. Thus, the animals have a total of 30 teeth. There are deviations from this general dental formula. For example, lynxes have only 2 premolars in the upper jaw, resulting in 28 teeth, although some lynxes may have an additional molar on one or both sides of the lower jaw. The incisors of cats are small and spatula-shaped, primarily used for biting off meat from prey or carrion. The individual incisors differ in size, ranging from the smallest first tooth in the middle of the jaw to the largest third tooth before the canines. In some species, the third incisor is particularly large and canine-like. Between the third incisor and the canine, there is a diastema, a gap in the tooth row, allowing the canines to slide past each other when closing the mouth. The canines, also known as fangs, are dagger-like and serve to grab, hold, and kill prey. They have a specific groove on the outside. The canines were particularly enlarged in saber-toothed cats. Before the premolars, there is another diastema. The first premolar is often reduced in size. The other premolars have a high central cusp and flanking smaller cusps, serving to hold and break small bones. The last premolar and the first molar form the carnassial teeth for cutting off chunks of meat, which are swallowed without further chewing. They have high serrated crowns that shear past each other when biting, slicing the meat. The size of the teeth relative to each other varies between species and depends on the type of prey. Cats are now found on all continents except Antarctica. Their natural range includes Eurasia, including the islands of Southeast Asia, Africa, and North and South America. Of the 45 cat species, 4 are found in Europe: the widespread European wildcat, the Eurasian lynx, the Iberian lynx in Spain and Portugal, and the African wildcat on Sicily and Sardinia. The Iberian lynx is the only cat species exclusively found in Europe. 22 cat species, about half of all living cat species, are found in Asia, with 14 of them being limited to Asia. In Africa, there are 10 cat species, but only 3 are exclusively found on this continent. On the Americas, there are 18 or 19 cat species, with the Canadian lynx living exclusively in the Nearctic region of northern North America, and the bobcat being limited to North America up to northern Mexico. Most species are found in the neotropical regions, with 10 only in South America and 3 with only marginal ranges north of Mexico. Cats are also found in almost all habitats, with many species having a very close association with a specific habitat. They are found at all elevations from lowlands to mountains, with their range extending up to about 6,000 meters in the Himalayas. In Australasia and Oceania, cats have been introduced by settlers and travelers in the form of domestic cats. In the polar regions north of the 70th parallel, there are no cats. The original habitats of cats are forests, and to this day, most species live in forested areas, especially tropical rainforests. 89% of all cat species are found in forests and more open forested areas. The boreal coniferous forests of Canada and northern Eurasia are the least species-rich areas, mainly adapted to lynxes that penetrate the Russian taiga and tundra regions. In the temperate forests of Eurasia, the European wildcat is found. In North America, the bobcat is found in these habitats, and in the temperate forest zones of South America, the Chilean forest cat is found. The greatest species diversity is in tropical forest areas, with about 20 cat species found there. 7 of these are strictly limited to tropical rainforests, including the clouded leopard, the marbled cat, the Bornean bay cat, the flat-headed cat, and the long-tailed cat. These species, often living in vegetation, are generally little studied due to their hidden lifestyles, with most knowledge coming from camera traps and observations of captive animals. Some very specialized cat species also live in high mountains. The mountain cat, for example, lives in the South American Andes at elevations of 3,000 to over 5,000 meters. In the high mountains of Asia, the snow leopard and the Pallas's cat are found. Desert inhabitants include the sand cat, found in the arid regions of the Middle East, and the black-footed cat from the desert and semi-desert areas of South Africa. Both desert species and the Pallas's cat are adapted to very dry regions and can survive for long periods without water intake. The leopard is also found in semi-deserts and steppe areas, while the African savannas are home to cheetahs, lions, servals, and caracals. Some species are adaptable generalists and are found over large areas in various habitats. They generally live where sufficient prey is available. These include the puma in large parts of North and South America, as well as the leopard, which is found from southern Africa through large parts of North Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia to northeastern Russia. The European wildcat is also widely distributed in Europe, Asia, and Africa. Generalists with a slightly smaller range include the colo-colo in South America and the Bengal cat in Asia. When multiple species coexist in the same habitat, symmetry, they usually differentiate by the size of their prey. For example, leopards in India generally prey on smaller to medium-sized animals, while tigers, also living there, prey on large animals. In Africa, leopards and lions hunt the same prey, but leopards bring their prey into trees, where they are safe from lions. In the tropical regions of South America, jaguars hunt in denser vegetation areas, while pumas prefer more open areas. Most cat species are solitary. Males and females only come together to mate and then separate again. Exceptions include lions, which live in larger prides, and small groups of male cheetahs living together. Cats exhibit a relatively wide range of communication forms compared to other mammals. Particularly because house cats have lived around humans for centuries, their vocalizations have several names, including meowing, hissing, or purring. Other cat sounds include roaring, hissing, growling, or snarling. In wild cat species, most of these sounds are rarely heard, as most species are solitary and therefore seldom engage in acoustic communication with conspecifics. Research on cat communication primarily takes place on captive animals, and thus knowledge about communication in many species is very limited or non-existent. Like other mammals, cats communicate with acoustic signals over short, medium, and long distances. At close range, acoustic communication is usually combined with visual signals such as specific ear positions, tail movements, showing teeth, or body posture, as the communicating animals can see each other. This is particularly pronounced in threats and rivalries. In communication between mother animals and young or during mating, touch plays a significant role. Chemical signals, such as scent markers in urine, feces, or anal gland secretions, mainly play a role in marking territory boundaries. Loud calls occur in both females and males and primarily serve to delineate territories or attract mating partners. In most cats, these calls are identical or comparable to those of house cats and are based on the typical meowing. In many species such as the serval, caracal, African golden cat, or marbled cat, they correspond to those of house cats, while in others such as the jaguarundi, sand cat, or fishing cat, they are highly derived and very different. For example, the jaguarundi emits shrill, high-pitched whistles, while the sand cat and fishing cat produce sequences of short barking sounds. In medium-sized species such as the clouded leopard, puma, or cheetah, the calls are less structured and do not show clear sequences. Large cats like tigers, jaguars, leopards, and lions usually have species-specific call patterns. As the only social species living in groups, lions produce numerous different sounds for interspecific communication and also communicate together as choirs over longer distances, with the call pattern starting with individual soft calls and becoming faster and louder over time. The typical roar of lions lasts about 40 seconds and consists of 25 to 30 individual calls. Unlike many other carnivores, which are more or less omnivorous, all cats feed almost exclusively on meat and have a relatively high protein requirement. Most data on cat diet composition comes from analyses of feces or stomach contents of dead animals, while the hunting and feeding behavior of only a few large species can be directly observed. Environmental factors of habitats such as precipitation, seasons, and nutrient availability determine primary production and thus the biomass of prey species. These, and their distribution in the environment, in turn, determine the size and density of predator populations, the population structure, and the social behavior of cats. They also determine the size of the distribution area and the overlap of the ranges of individual predator species, where the size of the range and the overlap of the ranges of individual species are often inversely correlated with the biomass of prey species. The animals are specialized predators, with their meat requirements, type of prey, and hunting behavior depending on the body size of the animals. Carnivores feed optimally when they can eat the largest suitable prey species they can kill safely. Thus, there is a different amount and distribution of prey for each predator species. Additionally, the diet varies depending on individual and species-specific prey preferences, local prey species, temporal availability of prey, and the presence of competitors. Large cats like tigers, lions, or jaguars mainly hunt large prey animals, particularly large hoofed animals with body sizes that can significantly exceed their own. They require large amounts of meat and generally cannot survive if there are no correspondingly large prey animals in their territories. They often depend on a few prey species. They typically catch one prey animal per week, from which they feed for a few days and then go without food for a few days. A radio-collared female tiger killed a wild boar or deer about every 7 to 9 days and made around 40 to 46 kills a year while raising 2 cubs, requiring about 60 to 72 kills a year to provide for herself and the young. Pumas, leopards, snow leopards, and cheetahs hunt small to medium-sized prey, with the prey spectrum generally being very broad. Pumas are known to hunt more than 60 different prey species, from small squirrels to adult moose, and leopards have more than 90 documented potential prey species. Their prey varies from hares to large antelopes like kudu, depending on availability. Studies in Gabon revealed a prey spectrum ranging from animals weighing between 2 to over 100 kilograms, with hoofed animals weighing 5 to 50 kilograms making up the largest share. A comparison of prey items of Asian and African leopards showed that the Asian animals rarely preyed on animals weighing less than 5 kilograms, with the average prey size being generally larger. Most small cats are generalists and usually hunt small prey such as rodents or hares, but can also hunt reptiles, amphibians, or even insects. Species like the ocelot, leopard cat, serval, Pallas's cat, European wildcat, and black-footed cat primarily hunt small rodents, while lynxes almost exclusively hunt hares and rabbits. Only a few species like the fishing cat and flat-headed cat hunt fish and frogs from water and are specialized in this. In the wild, most cats prefer live-caught prey and only occasionally eat carrion. However, some species will steal prey from others when the opportunity arises. For example, lions regularly take prey from cheetahs or leopards, and pumas take prey from bobcats. Leopards, in particular, also eat carrion, which helps them survive when prey is scarce. For bobcats, finding deer carrion in winter is crucial for securing their food supply. In their hunting methods, most cats are similar. They ambush their prey as sit-and-wait hunters or stalk close to it to overpower it after a few leaps or a short sprint. During stalking, the animals stay as close to the ground as possible with their ears laid back and aim at the prey with their forward-facing eyes. They move slowly and carefully, avoiding noise, toward the potential prey. This can take more than half an hour, and whenever the prey lifts its head or looks in the direction of the cat stops and remains motionless. When the cat is close enough to the prey to reach and overpower it with a quick sprint, it runs and chases the prey until it catches it. The sprint is particularly well developed in cheetahs, which are adapted to reach very high speeds, over 100 km per hour. This allows them to chase their targeted prey over a distance of several hundred meters. The comparison of this hunting method to the chase hunting of pack-hunting canids and spotted hyenas is inaccurate. Unlike chase hunters, cheetahs cannot exhaust their prey through endurance, which is the principle of chase hunting, but must catch it within a short time, barely more than a minute, due to their higher speed. Once the cat reaches its prey, it grabs it with its claws and goes for the killing bite. Small prey is usually bitten in the neck, while large prey is bitten in the throat to destroy the trachea. Different species have also developed species-specific methods for catching and killing prey. According to current opinion, cats descended from the ancestors of the vivarids or related forms within the feliform carnivores. Before the appearance of true cats, the nimmervids or false saber-toothed cats, Nimravidae, and the Barbour Felidae, which both resemble cats but are now placed in their own families, evolved within the feliforms. The oldest fossils assigned to cats are about 30 million years old and come from the Oligocene, when Proailurus, the first known representative of the Felidae, appeared. It was slightly larger than a house cat and hunted in the tropical forests of Europe. Around 20 million years ago, two branches evolved from it, which were formerly grouped together in the paraphyletic genus Pseudolurus and are now considered separately. From the species remaining in the genus Pseudolurus, the saber-toothed cats, Machaerodontidae, evolved, with the last representatives of the genera Homotherium and Smilodon going extinct about 10,000 years ago. Parallel to the saber-toothed cats, several other genera evolved, such as the North American Hypereleuryctus and the European and Asian Stereophilus and Civilurus. While all descendants of Hypereleuryctus and Civilurus are extinct, all modern cats evolved, with the small and large cats as sister groups to Stereophilus. All modern cat species thus trace back to a common ancestor that lived about 13 to 15 million years ago. There are approximately 46 cat species, which are all relatively similar in body structure and mainly vary in color and size. Only the cheetah significantly differs from other cats in this regard. The largely uniform body structure of cats made it difficult to classify the family based on morphological criteria. The number of genera has varied over time and in different depictions. Until the mid-20th century, cats were divided into very few genera, sometimes only 2 or 3. Currently, after numerous revisions and considering morphological and genetic characteristics, 13 to 14 genera are recognized. Especially in recent years, new species have been described, whose species status has primarily been identified and confirmed through molecular biological analyses. With the development of molecular genetic and computer-aided methods, which allow the comparison of DNA and protein sequences, it was recognized that the traditional 3-part division of cats does not reflect the actual relationships. There is no doubt about the monophily, all subgroups stem from a common ancestor of cats. It was found, for example, that cheetahs do not form their own subfamily but are closely related to pumas and thus belong to the small cats. The previously assumed close relationship between caracals and lynxes based on morphological similarities was also revised. The belonging of the fossil saber-toothed cats to the cat family has been confirmed molecular biologically. According to the analyses, modern cat species are divided into 8 main lineages, which probably branched off from the main branch in the order listed here. The first split, that of the big cats, likely occurred about 10.8 million years ago, while the most recent split, between the domestic cat lineage and the Bengal cat lineage, occurred about 6.2 million years ago. The affiliation of the mountain cat to the ocelot lineage is relatively uncertain. There are also other lineages whose assignment is difficult and varies in different studies. This includes the Pallas's cat, whose assignment in some publications is among or within the true cats, and the marbled cat, which is sometimes classified among the big cats. Additionally, even within the well-studied group of cats, new species are occasionally described, which are split off from known species, most recently within the ocelot or by splitting the clouded leopard into 2 species. That's it for now. In the next episode, we'll take a closer look at golduck and its relationship with Pidgeot and Fierro. Feel free to subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and check in next time.